The question, should animals be used for biomedical research, has sparked debate for more than 2,000 years. I studied this question through a historical lens by analyzing some of history's primary philosophies on the ethics of animal research. I conclude that we should not test on animals for research. Historically, animal research has been justified by claims that humans are inherently superior to other animals. But these claims have been undermined by more recent discoveries, proving that through evolution, humans are a type of animal themselves. Instead of entitling us to harm other animals, humans' supposed superior cognitive abilities gives us a moral and ethical obligation to refrain from harming animals in research. Animal use for biomedical research dates back to the 3rd century BC. Humans used vertebrate animal species as models of human autonomy and physiology. Greek philosophers Aristotle, Herophilius, and Aristotle's and Roman physician Galen were some of the first to perform vivisections on animals to advance the understanding of human anatomy and physiology. In particular, Aristotle developed his theory on the natural world. He perceived nature as a natural ladder and devised a classification hierarchy known as a scala naturae. He placed humans on top of the scale and animals were placed below. This philosophy introduced the idea that there is a qualitative difference between humans and animals that gave humans the inherent right to use lesser creatures for their own benefit. In the 19th century, Charles Darwin developed theories that contradicted these arguments. The theories of evolution and natural selection, explained in his book On the Origin of Species, showed that humans were inherently animals themselves. Over this next century, this basic understanding served as a catalyst for eroding the perceived superiority of humans and caused people to rethink humans' placement in the natural world. In the late 19th century, experiments on animals became a major social justice issue. In 1875, Francis Power Cobbe founded the world's first organization dedicated to campaigning against vivisection, known as the National Anti-Vivisection Society, and in 1898, founded the British Union for the Abolishment of Vivisection. These and similar organizations expose the suffering that often accompanies animal research, and advocated for special legislation to regulate vivisection. Another turning point occurred in 1959 with the publication of the Principles of Humane Experimental Technique, written by microbiologist Rex Bunch and zoologist W.M.S. Russell. This book took the position that most, if not all, animal research is unnecessary and proposed alternatives to replace or completely avoid using animals in biomedical research. It laid out the principles of the 3 R's: replacement, reduction, and refinement, that continue to influence the philosophies of animal rights organizations and the development of animal welfare laws. Today, scientific advancements are making animal research less necessary. Possible alternatives include isolated cells and 3D culture tissues, also known as organs on a chip. 3D culture tissues essentially mimic the human body environment using microfluidics. As such, it may be a better indicator of how a drug or treatment will respond in the human body. However, with any new technology, further research is needed to fully understand the risks and possible dangers of this technology. Even so, it poses great promise as a replacement for animal experimentation. Collectively, the history of animal research tells us that experimenting on animals is justified by the premise that humans are superior to all other creatures. That is flawed logic. Our ability to make conscious choices and our capacity for empathy gives us a moral obligation to protect those who may be considered to be weaker than us. We also have an ethical obligation to follow the principles of the 3 R's and to look for alternatives to animal research and to avoid inflicting undue harm and suffering. Animals are entitled to decent treatment and deserve to be treated with respect and compassion, because after all, humans are animals too.
Okay, round of applause. All right, Raquel,
Yes.
What evidence did you gather that you didn't use, and why did you choose not to use it?
So I gathered evidence from a specific experiment that occurred in August of 1874. This experiment was performed on a dog, and it was used to demonstrate the effects of alcohol on the nervous system. During this experiment, the dog was fully conscious and awake. It was strapped down on wooden planks, and it was held down while alcohol was fed down its throat. The dog whined with fear, and the dog even licked the hand of the operator as a last cry for help. And this heart-wrenching experiment exposed that animals are sentient beings capable of experiencing emotions. Then I chose not to include this specific example because I didn't have enough time in my presentation.
Okay, thank you. Another question. What advice would you have for other researchers who are considering this topic?
Some advice that I would give to other researchers who are considering this topic would be to examine it from a historical lens. I found it extremely interesting to investigate this topic from a historical lens because it kind of compares where we came from and where we are now.
Okay, thank you.